we are here in our nation's capital, still a shining city on a hill. I am so glad to be back here with you guys, and I promise exclusives for you guys this whole month of August. We're headed into the fall time period, and we have so much to talk about: God, country, and family. You guys are such an amazing audience, and you have brought so much support to this show in the year that we have been at WMAL 105.9. So we have a very special guest for you guys this morning here on the YouTube channel, and also live to air here at WMAL 105.9. We have Jep and Jessica Robertson. You guys all know them as Duck Dynasty, but you know what? They also have some great things happening at Fox Nation, and they have amazing books from bravebooks.com. So we're going to be talking about their newest book. It's all about adopting. It's all about adoption. It's all about our faith in our community and our faith in the public square. So will you please welcome to the show, Jep and Jessica. Thanks you guys for so much for joining this morning. How fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I sat down and read your book, and I absolutely love it. And full disclosure, my audience knows my husband and I were not able to have kids. We got married later in life. So I adopt every kid I see on the street. And I make sure that they are being infiltrated with God, country, and family, and books like you guys are putting out at Brave Books. Talk to us about this newest book, and what was it like to write it?
Well, we were introduced to Brave Books actually a year before. Our sister-in-law, Missy Robertson, had a book with Brave Books, and we just fell in love with everything they do, their mission. I mean, just to know that we can trust Brave with any topic, and just the way they introduce life lessons to these kids, and they can grow with these fun characters. So when we came on aboard, we talked about what kind of book could we do, and obviously adoption is heavy on our hearts. Our youngest is adopted. Our Gus, we adopted him when he was 3 days old, and now he is almost 9. And so we've obviously had some little things that we've encountered with him, because he is a Black child adopted into a white family. And when we heard the story of obviously Valor, we were so excited to be able to kind of put in little things that we've experienced with Gus. So obviously this isn't our adoption story, it's Valor's adoption story, but we got to include some things like him being different. Obviously Valor is a tiger. He's adopted into a lion family, Arthur and Fiona. And it's just a really beautiful story of showing unconditional family love, that sweet source of family sticking by you, and just the affirmation that we do with Gus, as well as Fiona and Arthur get to do with Valor. As a young boy, even Gus at 2.5, 3 would notice he was different skin than us, and he would ask us, why am I brown and you're gray, mommy? And those were hard things to encounter. You're like, you're too young to even think about being different, right? We don't treat you any different than our other biological kids. And so but those are real things. And so we got to kind of talk about that and share that. And obviously Valor felt that, and he was getting questions by other kids, like, why are you different from your mommy and daddy? And so we've just taken that approach of being really honest and open from the get-go, with Gus. And we haven't encountered this yet, but I'm sure we will. We know a lot of adopted families that have encountered their child wanting to know who their biological family is. And even though we had a closed adoption, we don't really know anything about his birth mother and father. I'm sure that at some point Gus will want to know that, and we will do all we can do to help him, have that closure and have that outreach to see what was going on and who his birth parents are at that time. But we know that, he has 4 other siblings, and he knows that he is loved by not only our family, but all his aunts and uncles and cousins, and everybody that meets him loves him.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you share a little bit about what was it like to come to this decision? What really led you to say, we're going to adopt? And how did you what was that transition piece for meeting Gus in that time period? What was all of that like?
So when me and Jess were dating, she said, "Look, I want to have 5 kids." And I was like, "That's a lot of kids. I mean, it's your body. I don't know." I was kind of like, but she was like very adamant.
Mhm.
So after 4, I was like, look, we're good. Got a good family here. Then I went on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. Our church had an orphanage over there, and I met all these kids, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I could have taken all of them home. They were so sweet. And I got back from that trip, and I told her, I was like, look, I get it. Let's go for adoption, because she had been telling me like after 4 and she couldn't really have any more, and she was like, I still want another one. I said 5, and so it's just kind of how it worked out. And I'm so glad. I mean, she had the heart, and I think God worked on my heart and taught me like, oh yeah, you can have 5 kids and it's going to be great.
Did you find the process for it being, I'm assuming it was a domestic, adoption versus international adoption. Did you find that more difficult? Because I remember all my years on the Hill, remembering the Chapmans adopting internationally, remembering all those different families at that time period, when it was during the Bush administration. And I remember them really struggling with the whole international adoption. So was it more difficult with doing a domestic adoption, or was it pretty, how long did that take you guys?
I mean, from start to, I mean, it was about 9.5 months of just waiting. We had a couple fall through. So I mean, I know a lot of international adoptions, it takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so we were fortunate we got to bring him home 3 days after he was born. And so that part was easier, but there were still, like I said, those like adoptions that fell through and the heartache, and then like you're getting your hopes up. And so I think all in all, it can always be trying a little bit, but it's so worth it. And it's just something that that we're adopted, as children of
Absolutely.
God through Jesus. And so it's such a beautiful story, and it's something that we got to open our hearts and our home to. And, we never looked back once we started going down that path.
Hmm. One thing I wanted to talk about was your little guy. He's so stinking adorable. And what has it been like for your family? Obviously, he has 4 additional siblings. And I remember hearing one of your interviews, and it would talked about how I guess he was taking a bath and he was trying to scrub his skin because he wanted to look like you guys. What was that like in that time period to help him kind of understand? And like you said, our adoption and our faith and how God sees us. So how was it?
I was actually there for that when he was in the bathtub, and he was crying, and
Mm.
he had like a loofah, and he was scrubbing his arms. I was like, "What's the matter, buddy?" And he was like she said, he said, "I want to be great like you." And I mean, I just lost it. I cried and was like, "Buddy, God made you just how you are. You are beautiful." And I mean, I think what kind of helped us too was my brothers have adopted Willie, and he has a son named Will who's biracial, and we actually babysat for him all the time as a kid, and he came around a lot especially when, but he's moved off since. But when Gus was little, and Gus really looked up to him, and I think that kind of helped him see, like, oh, okay, not everybody has to look the same, and so.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. So I know you guys have some brand new things coming out later this month. I mean, we're almost into August. So talk to us about your Fox Nation show and what you have coming down the pike so we can make sure our audience goes and checks it out. And what else and Jessica, especially your boxes too. I want to talk about that too.
Okay.
Well, the show stuff, Duck Family Treasure. So me and my brother just got it. He bought the kind of the oldest place in Northeast Louisiana, and my dad's good buddy, Mr. Murray, said, Jace, like, you need to go out there and metal detect. You can find some awesome stuff. And Jace was like, metal detect? That's for old men at the beach when their wives are mad at them. They're out there metal detect. And but he tried it and started finding some really cool stuff. And then he told me, he was like, dude, you got to come do this. He was finding all these old coins from the 1800s and stuff. So I went over there and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of fun. Like if you're on the right spot, it's awesome.
Mhm.
And so we were just doing it for fun. And then Fox reached out and was like, hey, you guys want to do this on TV? And we're like, well, we're doing it anyway. So yeah, let's
Mhm.
do it. So it's been a lot of fun. We found some awesome stuff, and just a cool hobby to kind of share with the world.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, so Missy and I got to join a little bit. So it's Duck Family Treasure. And, we have I actually think it's really fun to go metal tech, but Missy and I have a love for antiques. So we have, ever since I was a little girl, I'd go with my grandmother to garage sales, estate sales,
Mm.
flea markets. And so we got to even show that a little bit on the show and our love for that. So that was a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. When I grow up, I want to have my own antique store. My husband has indulged me, I guess you could say. And our home, as he says, looks like my aunt's house. And he originally thought my aunt's house was an antique store, and he didn't realize the difference. So I feel like I've come to another level of my antiquing and love for that. But honestly, Jep, I'm going to go back to you for a second. We used to live at the beach, and he used to do that. Take the metal detectors out with our godsons and find all of these treasures at the water. So that is definitely something it's a fun adventure, and it definitely it's just intriguing because you don't know what we're going to find. And where we were previously, it was an old Indian ground, so they were uncovering different Indian treasures and things of that nature. So it's phenomenal American history right there.
Yeah. Probably most favorite, one of my most, we found a meteorite. That was super awesome. It was 1,000-year-old rock that nobody had touched. But probably my second favorite, I think is supposed to come out. We went to upstate New York,
Mhm.
and it was some, I think it was Iroquois, that tribe. They had a place up there where the Jesuit priests from France would come and like minister to them and
Mhm.
make them rings and like just teach them about Jesus and stuff. And we got to go hunt that site. It was really like archaeologists have been there too. And we gave everything back, and obviously they're putting it in museums and stuff, but we found a ton of awesome relics from the 1600s.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun, just uncovering that history.
So when you uncover that, what do you then do with it? Do you give it over to the local historical society? How does that work?
Pretty much. And if it's something like that, for sure. But some of it, if it's just private land and we're just kind of out looking in front of like an old homestead or something,
Mhm.
we just give it to the landowner. And like
Mhm.
every now and again they'll let us keep something, but mainly we just like to find it. We just like to uncover history. I mean, we went to some really awesome we went to and asked a lot of places that were kind of the government had it protected, and we're like, look, you can send an official and have them stand right over us to make sure we're
Yeah.
doing everything right, and we will give you the stuff and you can put it in a museum. And they'd be like, no. We'd be like, we're just trying to uncover stuff to give to
Yeah.
you. I don't understand the problem, but a
Yeah.
lot of
Believe
government
it.
bureaucracy and some of that stuff.
You said it. I can personally say it. I lived and breathed that. So yes, you're right. You know what? I will give you guys an invitation whenever you guys want to come to Eastern North Carolina. That's where we live here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. And I'm a transplant. My husband's originally from here, but there are Civil War ground
Oh
battle
yeah.
all around us. And there are some lands that we are not able to go on because there's still pieces of the Civil War there. Um,
Hmm.
so, and then more modern day, some of the more military history that we have here, you're going to find treasures from all the different bases. We have Fort Bragg, we have Seymour Johnson, we have the Marine Corps bases. So this whole state is covered in military and American history. So you guys ever want to come join us.
Absolutely. I'm in.
In the final few minutes we have left here at the All American Book Club, I want to make sure we really focus on the most important thing, and that is God, Country, Family, this adoption book that you have, and just focusing on the adoptive parents who are already out there and those who are considering adoption. In the final few minutes we have left, I want to make sure they go to Brave Books and get your book, but I also want to make sure that they are encouraged as they go through the process. Yeah, go ahead and hold up the book if you want. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Such a great book. I love just the words of encouragement that Valor gets from his parents. And I won't spoil the ending, but I just love the ending. It was beautiful. So with that said, what words of encouragement would you give to parents out there who are considering adoption, and just, the ups and downs, the emotional aspect and that faith aspect? What would you say to them?
No,
But
I was just gonna say just a little stat for you. If one family in every evangelical church around the world adopted just one family in every church, there'd be no orphans.
mm,
Be it problem solved. And I'm like, man, that when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, like we could really do this, you know? It's like, so that's what I always tell people that now that since I heard that, I was like, man, we could solve a big problem. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
absolutely.
just gonna say that, really just through that process, I mean, the reason why I feel like anybody desires to do that is all a God thing. It's all
Mm,
um the Holy Spirit speaking to you. And through that process is leaning into him um through it all. There's gonna be ups and downs, but it's so worth it. Like, I mean, even through those little trials, and it was nothing. I mean, it could have been curveballs from, Satan. It could have been anything, but our focus is on Jesus, and no matter what, you can get through any of it. And there will be trials. There will be things come up, whether you adopt a child that is the same race as you
mm,
or not, but it's all beautiful and it's all amazing. We didn't know anything about Gus when we adopted him. We didn't know if he had been exposed to drugs or alcohol or anything through the pregnancy. And but just sticking together as a unit, as a family, like I knew that Jep was like, no matter what, if something comes up and he has issues, we'll face it. And having that, I think having that support and that unit never wavering,
right.
it made me confidently go through that unknown,
Mhm.
right? Of not knowing who his birth parents were, or if he was exposed to things, or really whatever genetic disposition. I mean, Gus has little things. He has sensory issues at times especially when he was younger, and so we've had to learn that because our biological kids didn't have that. But through that process, like we have been blessed by Gus more than I think we've blessed him. Like that, it's his presence in our life and just seeing just the beauty of like who God brought into our lives and how he chose us to be his mommy and daddy has been more of a blessing than I could even imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Like I just said to you guys earlier, he's such a little ray of sunshine, and I cannot wait to see what God has in store for him next. I'm so excited. So I'm so glad that you guys came into this morning here at the All American Book Club. And on a final note to all of our audience out there, do you want to say a final note about your boxes and what you may be having for the fall? I'm a fall girl, so I'm excited to hear what you may have.
Yes, yes. So I have a subscription box that comes out quarterly and it's called Genuine by Jess. And
Mhm.
I just love to be able to include and use that platform to have products by other companies, brands that are women-owned companies, small family-owned companies, companies that are brands that have give back missions. I'm huge on that, and so I just was blessed to be able to like use this platform to shine light on other companies, other brands that have just beautiful hearts of what they're doing. And so it's been a joy. The fall, of course, is fun. Holiday is super fun. Fall will be, there's some cozy items. There's
Okay.
some luxury spa items I always try to include. And then, yes, we're working with a jewelry company that has a beautiful give back mission. And I'm so excited about that. But yeah, it'll come out August 15th is the launch date of that. But yes, thank you
Nice.
for letting me share that. It's been such a blessing in my life.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we'll make sure to have you come back and maybe we can feature you guys for a Christmas after Thanksgiving fun holiday piece. We are doing so many amazing things here at the All American Book Club. And it's not just about books, but it's about how we can impact our culture, how we can impact the public square, how can we impact our neighbors for God, country, and family.